this is already not working out for my lifestyle. Okay, here we go. This week I'm opening a can of worms because I want to. You're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do. I can do what I want. Hi, and welcome back, you beautiful nerds, to another edition of a video. Yep, that's right. It's on this little corner of the internet. This week, I am exploring the rise of the modern TikTok bimbo by donning the aesthetic for 7 whole days. If you don't know, or you've been living under a stupid rock for the past 3 years, we have seen a surge of self-identified bimbos, himbos, and bimbos on social media sites, particularly TikTok. Now, throw away all of the preconceived notions that you may have of bimbos. Into the garbage goes images you might have of blonde, booby, and below average GPAs. Because the bimbo of today is leftist, queer, and diverse.
So if you're a bimbo, a girl, a gay, or a they, this is the place for you.
After spending a whole year in quarantine, I started to ask myself, what is a bimbo? And as a Hispanic woman, what role do I have in it? I identify with so much of it. The hatred for Trump, using these old men to pay for my fillers. Oh, and for this top. But that's beside the point.
So what's your name? Ugh, if you must know, it's Jamie or Alex or Aaron or Taylor. What do you want? To come over here and convince me to vote for you for prom queen? Well, Danny or Andy or Charlie or Frankie. I just think it's really funny how like you claim to be like a feminist and an ally, and then like the moment someone has something as simple as a different aesthetic than you just abandon all your ideals. Like, I think that's like hilarious.
Now we'll get into the discussion of all the different nuances here, but first I'd like to discuss the parameters of my challenge. Okay, so for this week, and for the purposes of this challenge, I am going to be using the style as an entry point into bimboism, but I'm not going to be changing how I act or how I communicate and move through the world, because I think that might be disrespectful to those who self-identify as a bimbo and live and love and laugh in this way. I also want to give Jordan Teresa her flowers because she did a deep dive on the rise of bimbofication in this video, and I used a lot of her work as a starting point for my personal explanations. If you haven't checked out her channel, mosey on over there because it's so helpful, and she does deep dives on a lot of different aesthetics and popular terms and trends that are going on in the pop zeitgeist. Additionally, I would like to go ahead and recognize my privilege as somebody who's trying this aesthetic. Like, as we all know, I am a white. Traditionally, bimbos are defined as someone who prioritizes their looks over their intellect. These days, that definition is kind of swerved, and it is somebody who uses their appearance and prioritizes their appearance in tandem with their business savvy in order to glean respect and a position in a patriarchal system. Now, while there are many people of color and queer folks who interact in the bimbo space, that doesn't mean that their existence and their experience is the same as white people trying on this trend. In this critique on Brizo, author Malika Sunder says, even though sexism white women face is demeaning, they can still weaponize the protection they get under the patriarchy. Pandering to the bimbo stereotype works mostly with them because the stereotype was based off of the patriarchy's idealized view of white women. Therefore, they are the only ones who can get any meaningful empowerment out of subverting this trope. If a woman of color tries to subvert the bimbo trope, it will not be met with the same girl boss energy as a white woman. We need to recognize that in the feminist movements, women of color are constantly at a disadvantage because white supremacy is entrenched in so many mainstream attitudes. This opportunity, while it's available for everyone to try out for themselves, it's just not the same experience for people of color and queer folks. Lastly, I'm going to be a bimbo out in the world as well as at home. On the surface, this trend seems very presentational, and to a certain extent it is. But I personally want to feel what it's like to commit myself to the bimbo lifestyle while others are looking and while they're not. Traditionally, the term bimbo was often thrust upon women externally as a way to kind of reduce who they are to what they look like and how they affect men. If that's the case, then what does a sexual object do when no one's looking? Like, if a tree falls in the woods, does anyone hear it? If a sexual object is out and existing but no one is there to sexualize her, you know? Great. Okay, I think y'all know the terms. Now, to the salon! Okay, as usual, I'm running a little bit late. Sweet. Today is my first day of being bimbofied. I'm very excited. I'm gonna go get reblonded. Now here's the thing about being a blonde and being a bimbo, a blonde bimbo. I don't necessarily think all bimbos have to be blonde. In fact, if there's something that the TikTok generation of bimbos has taught us is that bimbos come in all shapes and sizes. Hell, there are even himbos, bimbos. I booked a hair appointment with my girl, my number one, my fairy hair godmother. Let's go. So one does not simply become a bimbo. It takes some prep, I've discovered. I, for an example, had to get fresh highlights, some makeup equipment that I didn't have, and of course, some clothing options. But while I was in the middle of my prep that Saturday, I kept asking myself, like, what kind of bimbo do I want to be? Because as of right now, the word bimbo intersects with a lot of different kinds of personalities and aesthetics. Again, Jordan Teresa provides an excellent spectrum of bimboism in her video, where she talks about there's a soft bimbo, like the Marilyn Monroes, Dolly Partons of the world, all the way up to the hard bimbos, like the cock destroyers. Legends, they're legends, those cock destroyers. Now, if you don't know who the cock destroyers are, go ahead, pause this video, and give them a Google. I'll wait. I know, right? Now, what I love about the cock destroyers so much is that they're genre bending. Of course, they're porn stars, but they're also comedians. They have a sense of humor and an amount of self-awareness that's refreshing. And I believe that their duality gives us the permission to look at other kinds of intersections in bimbo culture. Take Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. Take Elle Woods. The list goes on, really. So while I figure all of that out, first, a word from our sponsors. Okay, so one thing I've noticed about bimboship is the willingness to speak out about political and social issues. Now that's why I partnered specifically with ThredUp to make this transformation possible. To be honest, I really didn't have a lot in my wardrobe that was 100% this aesthetic, but I also didn't want to go out and buy a bunch of items from fast fashion. Enter ThredUp. ThredUp is a community of fashionistas who are committed to inspiring the rest of the world to think secondhand first. Now, when I go thrift shopping, I'm mentally prepared to be there a while because the experience is like a treasure hunt. You have to dig through barrels of clothing and find this specific piece that works for you and your body. Thrifting isn't always the most convenient when you're looking for a specific item or if you have a specific event that you need to buy for. But with ThredUp, it makes all of that so easy. Now, a lot of my looks came from ThredUp specifically, but a lot of the items didn't get to make it into the video because there's only 7 days in a week, y'all. So I want to show you a couple of my MVPs. I got this Theory dress that matches perfectly with these heels for $58. And by the way, I looked this up, and this dress from Theory is going for $250. I got this Topshop blouse and Levi jeans for $31 total. This Free People cargo pants and Alice and Olivia blouse for a total of $96. I also got this Free People faux leather skirt plus Alice and Olivia blouse and these boots all in total for $143. I looked it up and this top was originally $140. And finally, I got this Topshop shirt for 30 bucks. Y'all, I love ThredUp and I bet you will too. Go on over to their website and get up to 60% off your first order and free shipping with my code Devin. That's D-E-V-I-N. Get your items sooner by shopping secondhand. Offer expires 4/30/22 and applies to US and Canada customers only. See site for full terms. Yay! It's a history lesson. We love a history lesson. Let's explore the timelines of bimboism. Now, the term bimbo first made the scene in 1919, and guess what? It was originally used to describe men, specifically a brutish and not so intelligent man. Then in 1920, several artists recorded the song My Little Bimbo Down on Bamboo Isle, which is a song essentially about a coconut gal who gets around. Let me look up the song. Now I'm curious. What does the song sound like? But I've got a bimbo down on Bamboo Isle. Fast forward 9 years when the Oxford English Dictionary used the word bimbo in their Journal of American Speech, and to define it, they simply used the word woman. A bimbo is a woman. Nice! bimbos. Then the term disappears out of the zeitgeist for a while until the 1980s, when there are a bunch of sex scandals that hit the scene, and the word bimbo is unearthed to kind of describe the girlfriends and mistresses involved in these scandals. 1987 was actually a year deemed the year of the bimbo. God bless. Then back in 2017, we see the resurgence of the word bimbo on social media, which brings us to sort of today. Last year in 2021, they gave the bimbos the key to the city. Not really, they just did a repeat of 1987 and coined 2021 the year of the bimbo. But now back to my timeline. I just had the best time with a friend at the farmer's market. This look, this style is bringing me energy today. And usually on Sundays, I like to do nothing. You know, I like to clean my house and not leave my house and be a hermit. And I just, for once, am finding like the energy to leave my routine, and I think it's because I took the time to make myself look nice. I don't know if this is related to bimboism at large, or if it's just related to the fact that I have been mentally and emotionally and biologically and physically glued to my home with this pandemic, with the lockdown. I mean, there's not really an incentive to like look nice, because when you're at your home, you're in your safe space, hopefully. Like, why dress up for that? So to do something that requires me to like actually put on a costume, it's like very dynamic for me. It feels like I'm being gently nudged. No, it feels like I'm being gently forced to like leave my routine. And so far I'm having a great time. So I am taking my haul from the farmer's market back into the house, and I have a couple other things on my to-do list today. And since I look so cute, let's keep at it. Now, back in 2016, I made a video for BuzzFeed where I went blonde for the first time, and I was going to measure the world's reaction and response in order to find out if life was truly easier or better for blondes. At the time, looking back, my conclusions were a little hit or miss, but I did receive a lot of external attention. And going into this challenge, I kind of expected to have a similar result, but I was wrong. I was pleasantly surprised to say that nothing felt too different. And I have a theory for why this is. We're in this space where we're already starting to emerge out of our little holes of hiding in place, where we've been living and loving in sweatpants for the past 2 years. However, I'm seeing in a lot of fashion and couture a lot of costumey-like pieces coming to popularity. I think everything exists on a spectrum, and because we've been in this place of being in pajamas for the past couple years, we're switching gears and going to this place of like costumes, outlandish fashion. So I think that when I go out in public dressed as a bimbo, people aren't too fazed necessarily. People are like, oh, yeah, she's living her best life, which I kind of appreciate. Now, mind you, I gotta say, this study that I'm doing is very skewed and very biased because I live in Los Angeles, but I will say that I think that in general the public is just tired. I think people be tired. I think people want health care. I think people want their student loans forgiven, and they don't care what other people wear. I will say that I received a lot more comments about bimboing from home than I did from bimboing out in the world. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this. A lot of times people were surprised to turn on their Zoom camera and see a well put together manicured version of myself, whereas usually I'm just in sweatpants. So I got a lot of responses from bimboing at home, which I thought was funny. I once again don't really have time to put on lashes. I gotta get some work done. But for today, I think I'm looking pretty bimbo-y. Thankfully, Sarah blew out my hair and it's still kind of got that fresh from the salon look, so I'm not gonna style this much today. Today is kind of a day where I'm mostly inside, working from home, God bless. God bless. And so this is just kind of like a more working bimbo, casual bimbo. I'm gonna put on a little jewelry and call it a day. Feels good to look nice. Fun fact, actually, I didn't really want to wear a push-up bra with this, so I wore a MeUndies bra, but I wore it backwards. And I wore it backwards because the back scoop is lower and it pushes my small titties up. So this is the bimbo effect that I am creating today. Practically speaking, I will say that bimboism favors presentation over functionality. And that can be an issue if you don't want to be perceived. Okay, fun fact about me, I work at some place that is technically a church. LA gym prices are skyrocketing. They're crazy. So years ago, I found this church that, you know, is pretty close to our house and has a gym attached. So that's where I work out. I don't necessarily, because there's like a religious component and there's also a lot of after school programs at this church, I don't necessarily feel super comfortable dressing up in my bimbo ass self, although there are folks who like show up and show out at this gym. But here's what I'm at. I'm wearing normal sweatpants and a sweatshirt. I have a cute sports bra on and no t-shirt. Usually I'd wear a t-shirt underneath, like a big baggy one that has sweat stains on it. But I'm not gonna wear that this time. If I get overheated, then I'll do what the girlies do and just take off my sweatshirt and show off my cute sports bra, because she's cute. There's like a little mesh lining in there. She's cute. But here's the thing about the bimbo way of life so far. I don't think these iconic women who are in the zeitgeist for being bimbos, the Chrissy Chelpeckas, the Pam Andersons, the Marilyn Monroes, I don't think they'd want me to be uncomfortable. And besides, I'm not a bimbo. I'm putting on the costume. So for the purposes of this video, I am 50% bimbo going to the gym just because of these external factions. Something I'm learning is that my definition of what it means to be a bimbo is constantly changing. I went for a walk, came home, made some soup, and I noticed when I was on my walk that I was getting some attention. Obviously, I'm dressed the way I am, so that would happen. This little hot shorts and knee socks look, you're just gonna get attention because it's that good. It's a good look. As soon as I came back in the house, I realized one of the reasons why I wasn't feeling being a bimbo today, why I wasn't feeling the attention, it's because I don't feel good. I am tired and my lymph nodes are lymphy, and I feel like I caught Patrick's cold from last week. So I feel like the universe has presented me with this interesting opportunity to be a bimbo, but also to be a sick bimbo. When you have blonde hair and wearing clothes like this, you tend to attract attention. It's a lot harder to be out in these streets as a bimbo when you're not feeling 100%. So I'm gonna go take a quick nap, hot 20, I'm gonna pass out, give myself a hot 20, and then see how I feel when I wake up. Throughout this experiment, I really kept coming back to this TikTok of Dolly Parton that I found. In this TikTok, Dolly's being interviewed by Barbara Walters, and good God, Barbara Walters does not age well in this piece of media.
You don't have to look like this. You're very beautiful. You don't have to wear the blonde wigs. You don't have to wear the extreme clothes, right?
No, it's certainly a choice. I don't like to be like everybody else. I've often made this statement that I would never stoop so low as to be fashionable. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. So I just decided that I would do something that would at least get the attention. Once they got past the shock of the ridiculous way I looked and all that, then they would see there was parts of me to be appreciated.
She's practically sneering the entire time. Like internalized misogyny much? But something that I will acknowledge is that in the time of recording this interview, it was a completely different era for women. I'm reading Katie Couric's book right now called Going There, and something that I'm struck by when she talks about this time in history is that women were really trying to model themselves like men in order to fit into the American workspace. So being highly effeminate and dressing like Dolly Parton did is in direct contrast of what most women in the workplace were trying to do. These days, I think it's a little bit more accepted to demonstrate your overt sexuality and your more effeminate qualities for all peoples. I know this personally because when I tell the women in my life that I am going to be a bimbo for a week, I met with a lot of excitement and curiosity rather than judgment. Now, mind you, we do live in a post-Legally Blonde era. Nobody wants to be Selma Blair in Legally Blonde. Like, I don't even remember the name of her character, but I do remember Elle Woods because everyone wants to be Elle Woods. Everyone wants to know that you never get your hair wet after a perm.
Exactly. Because isn't it the first cardinal rule of perm maintenance that you're forbidden to wet your hair for at least 24 hours after getting a perm, at the risk of deactivating the ammonium thioglycolate?
Am I right, Your Honor?
You, however, had time to hide the gun, didn't you, Chutney?
Case closed! Plus, I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we are 60-ish years into giving little girls Barbies. I think it's kind of hypocritical of us to give little girls Barbies to play with, and then fast forward 20 years later, tell them that everything that they're their dolls represented is a sham and not good, and they shouldn't do it. At least that's what I expressed to my research assistant, Valerie, and Valerie actually brought up a different point. She said, I think it's an interesting question because the Barbies Gen Z grew up with were a little more diverse-bodied and career-driven than traditional appearance-driven dolls of bygone decades. My first Barbie had a dream house and a veterinary degree. When do I get my dream house, bitch? Which kind of brings me back to the modern TikTok bimbo. She is diverse. She is different sizes. She's out here talking about political, social, and economic issues. Now, I want to mention really fast, we see bimbos on social media mentioning leftist terms and reading in communist manifestos, etc., etc. I think it's a little disingenuous to say that all bimbos are leftist because that would just be reducing leftist policies to a meme, and I don't want to do that. And I think that this does a lot to showcase that the bimbos of today are demonstrating that beauty and brains aren't exclusionary. You can be a sex object with multiple degrees. God bless! I'm about to see Chantel and Fred from Ladylike. We're at the recording studio. We have a little project we're working on. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. What I do want to talk about really fast is how nervous I'm feeling about seeing them. Not because, like, you know, I saw them on Zoom on Monday, but like, I think this eye makeup kind of makes me look like an owl, and it's definitely not even. And this is the kind of shit that you're nervous about when you're with other women or your girlfriends. When you're close with like your gals, they're not gonna hold back. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, I see what you were trying to do there. Like, they're gonna say stuff like that. And it's said with love. I do the same stuff with them, but like, it's that feeling of really wanting to impress the girls, the girlies. Not even impress, but just like get their approval. Like, wow, bitch, you look cute. That means more to me than attention from men, because... So Freddie, you haven't said anything about me being a TikTok bimbo today.
In my head, I was like, you look very dressed up. But I was just like, oh, dressed up.
Yep.
This is Bimbo. What does Bimbo mean? What do you mean by Bimbo?
Yeah, have you not seen a TikTok bimbo?
No.
No?
haven't
What
seen
side of
it.
TikTok are you
I
on?
haven't been on TikTok in months. I don't know why.
But a TikTok bimbo is kind of like the Chrissy Chalpecas.
Hi.
Hi. But I was like really nervous to show you my bimbo look because I'm less worried about men. But like with women...
No, I was like, oh, you're so dressed up. I was like, ooh, am I underdressed?
I also just want to bring up a thought I had, and this is kind of a theory about how the modern bimbo came to be. We often forget that Gen Z was in the middle of crucial development and forming core memories during probably the worst era of American television. The early 2000s gave us some of the most misogynistic reality television ever. Think about The Swan, The Biggest Loser, early iterations of The Survivor. Early reality television portrayed women horribly. I mean, just look at how we treated Britney and Paris Hilton. Like, the idea of an autonomous, sexual, independent, funny, hot young woman was seen to be dangerous by American media. Which makes me think that the new bimbo movement is like a casual rebellion with a twist of nihilism. My favorite kind of cocktail. I mean, the nihilism of Gen Z on social media is everywhere, but a lot is resting on their shoulders to quote unquote change the world, to be better, etc., etc. Meanwhile, they're being brought up and coming into adulthood amidst crisis after crisis after crisis. So yeah, a lot of their humor is dark, is self-aware, and I don't think that the modern bimbo is exempt from this, which is one of the reasons why it's so fun. All in all, trying on the bimbo costume for 7 days was probably one of my most fun experiments. Something that I think I might have missed in this challenge of being a bimbo for 7 days is really taking an opportunity to manipulate the male gaze, and I'm sorry for it. It just so happened that this challenge fell within a week where Patrick, my boyfriend, the only male gaze that I'm concerned with, is out of town, which I think was good for the practical measures of this challenge, like being able to hog the bathroom for hours on end, being able to wake up early and not have to worry about waking up my significant other, being able to just be self-absorbed for a week was really nice. But because Patrick was gone, I didn't have a cis straight man to manipulate with my looks, which was rough. It was sad. That's kind of part of the, it's not the point of being a bimbo, but it's part of the benefits, certainly. If you have any other style aesthetics that you've seen on TikTok that you want me to try out, tell me in the comments below. Yeah, and then also tell me what you reflect on bimboism in general. Let's all talk about who our favorite bimbos are in the comments. Like, that's a fun activity for us all to do. As you can see, I'm already back on my own style bullshit, which is cozy, comfy, crunchy, and a little cunty. Just want to say thanks again to ThredUp for helping me assemble all of the looks in the video. And if you're interested in transforming yourself into whatever internet aesthetic interests you, I highly recommend using my promo code that's in the description box below and checking out the great styles over at ThredUp. Think secondhand first. Okay, that's where I'm gonna end things. Love you guys. Bye.